So today we're talking about part three of the Shadow Work series. This part is going to be called the Hero Journey. And the Hero Journey is all about knowing where you come from to empower you to comprehend your natural instincts. So it's about you understanding where you was psychologically within a thought form and where you're transitioning to because of the possibility of that thought form. What perspective you're going to see and the events and the circumstances, the situations, and the form, the people, places, and things that correspond to that whole thing, right? It's about understanding that. So this is where you realize you're conscious and start to understand how you're connected to something, and you always have been connected to something. This spot is where you will understand your reasonings for an urge, desire, thought, or feeling that is synchronized with the elements within a circumstance or situation. So the thing that blocks this is the complex victim mentality. Okay. It gives birth to many forms, including the principles that act as the foundation of your beliefs and your intense, exaggerated reactions. That's the barrier between the hero journey, which is an awareness, and your ideal consciousness, mental and emotional state. Okay. So the mentality is created by expecting insecurities around certain areas and using what would be perceived as nurturing thoughts to the mind as it relates to that particular feeling you are experiencing at a particular moment. So you having wisdom over what you don't like to experience. This is what blocks this awareness, this ability. This is the birth of a being that you will use as a tool in reality through. So the mind will perceive it to be nurturing at that moment because of the intention you have set. But you got to understand the laws of the universe. Whenever you look at something, tend to something, you send things energy. So thoughts, phrases, whatever words, use influences from the world because you don't want to experience a feeling when in a totality you're giving that feeling energy. So is it going to grow? But you're just creating some type of complex thought form. And in the middle of it, you really don't know what you're doing, but you're trying to do something. You get what I'm saying? So this is why the victim mentality gets created. It's like that is what created all that energy. Like you step into these beings and you express it. And whenever you transition, you get to look at it again. And whenever you don't like your creation, hey buddy, that's when things get ugly. So understand it's about the intention you have set. That's why the mind is relates to your intentions and how you're trying to do things. So whether you're not aware of now, then hey buddy, you're not aware of what you're trying to create and the possibilities of that creation and how that's going to mold your perspective. And since you don't know what molds your perspective, that's when you can fall into laps of your mind. This is where your mind can start to play games with you because that's how you created it. Only reason why you assert thoughts, words, and phrases and influences on the world, like I stated earlier, on feelings that you don't want to experience, it's because you're trying to change it. But that's not the proper way to do it when this effort is given within this attention and the outcome doesn't align with your expectations. Then the internal outcome that will reflect as a new belief, a new perspective, a new lens, survival mechanism. Okay, your mind will start to use that since the essence of those attributes of that project, that past project as being your experience with that mindset and outcome that played out, and you comparing and contrasting that outcome to your expectations. So you start to refine your mind to fit that data, which is how you create a body, a spirit to use to express yourself in a reality. In this case, you gotta look at it like this though, since we're in Earth about shadow work, okay, spirit is faulty. So it's just going to summon ignorant thoughts, okay? And it will start to create a world in that spot. And that spot would be a beacon to influence, and you that influence will act as opposition to your morality. Opposition to this morality will start to leak into your principles. You do your everyday tasks, how you live your life, how you fucking breathe. So this is the ignorant spirit that will manifest as your vision based on how you perceive locations corresponding to it, how you use your senses. The mathematics of this space starts with how the stimulus affects your senses and the causes that well, how the stimulus affects your senses and cause you to react with the senses. Okay. Because from there, that's when the senses is just merely like a reflection of your spirit, your intelligence within this context. You gotta understand the spirit is many things. It takes many, many forms. Okay. And so it's about context. But you gotta understand these spots is where the mind gets influenced to create certain forms, certain symbols in certain ways, give you a certain type of expression within a certain moment with time. And it does this so that you can remember where, why, and what you transition from, so that you can have clarity of the moment, see the possibilities of the future. Your intentions are non local, so it's about balancing your soul to see the right path. This is how you see and understand your soul's purpose beyond wishes and responsibilities as a human. So now that you understand what the stage is about and what blocks the ability to have the realization, how do you get here? Remembering. Learn how to remember. Also, you would need to understand peace and the place that births your pleasures. If there's no equilibrium between your mind, current circumstances, and relationship with things in your world, there's no way your senses will be able to have the bandwidth to structure, especially around what we're going to call the demigod archetype. What I mean by this is an individual who can methodically respect the elements that are clashing with the mind and spot them in his or her reality to transform their consciousness. This means is your mind will not see the forms of the world and remind you of the past relations you had with the form, with the things, what those things remind you of into your memory, and then you get lost within the memory. That memory takes you to a feeling, and you start to accumulate certain thoughts. Those thoughts put you in a different emotional and mental state, and then you start to look at life within some type of lens, and then everything that you see with that stimulus, you get a new body, a new spirit, a new mind. So it gets super deep. You always creating something. That's the whole point. So instead, whenever you understand that the space, it will be pure. It's going to just act as a canvas for you. Lay down your body of knowledge, a body of information that you know is going to manifest some form or vibe that can be used for spiritual, mental, emotional, or some type of physical growth, or to materialize something in the world, if that's your goal. And this stage is also about defeating the urges that rule or ruled your life. So it's about having the knowledge, wisdom, will, and energy to face into the next thing effortlessly. That's what the hero stage is. You master hell, purgatory, which are like schools, their awarenesses. You get abilities from being in these states, having awareness within these states, so you can gain the ability to go to the next step. Right, that's the whole point of you experiencing uh different spaces, different experiences. That's the whole point of me making each segment like how it is, so you can have like a map, so you can understand what you're doing, like literally. Because it's very important to understand where you are within your journey. I already know human mind, y'all get wet off motivation. Whenever you step into the energy, you you start to create mindsets and mentalities that that uh that's going to set you up for you to feel bad about yourself later on, because you're going to fall into different urges that that don't align with your discernment at the moment, because you're trying to discern energies that you have no experience with. So going to play out as like that victim mentality, but you're not going to want to tap into that victim mentality. But it's going to trigger that victim mentality because that's what your mind remembers. It's it's a science. Like it gets super duper deep. So it's about understanding where you are. Understand where you are. That's when you understand your spirit, pragmatic approach to reality. How you naturally start to make sense from facts. Okay, so you can have your own. So you can see your own mind. Okay, so you can see that you are um a unique individual. Okay, so you gotta learn to hold your horses, buddy. You gotta learn to hold your horses. Understand what would be the proper thing to create get you to the next step. Motivation is cool, but understand that within itself. And that's why experience with peace is a must. Your mind will only know how to rush whenever you don't have experience with peace. And it can be in many forms. So it's about understanding what peace actually is. Because peace and rushing, they don't live in the same realities. Don't. They're two different worlds. I really, really, really understand that. Y'all create thought forms and you think that these things are distinct from one another when in totality they're the same thing, just in a different form. So it's about understanding um, a certain reality, the certain modes and attributes of a characteristic of a substance. So you can have the clarity to see these things in reality to correspond and correlate them to your psychology, your psyche. So these things can appear real. And so you can prove to your soul, to your mind, that these things are real. Okay. Because it's not about questioning life like your whole life. Like I don't get that. Like I don't like it's okay to know things. Like it's okay to know things. That's what I see within humanity. Like y'all afraid to actually feel like that y'all can know and actually know. But whenever y'all do know, y'all know some things that really don't matter. So it's about understanding what's valuable. And to understand what's valuable, you gotta understand what you're valuing so that you can accumulate the equilibrium between relate to things in your reality. So you can start to objectively look at reality. Okay, then you can start to create um, better thoughts, better ideals, and better conclusions, and better ideas for the world. So, with that being said, you watched the video to the end. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe.